supervisor. And at the same time, I had called my mentor from what was then the Convention and Visitors Bureau. And I was like, hey, I'm looking for something, just kind of trying to branch out of the hotels. Do you have anything? And we met for coffee, and she was like, I don't really know of anything, but let me, see what you want, and let's talk and see what I can do. And so she called me the next day, and she was like, okay, I actually need a lot of help, so do you want to come and help me part-time? And so I went, and I was like, yeah, sure. So I was a supervisor part-time, and I was at Memphis Tourism part-time, and that's where I met Teri. And it was wild, and so I did that for a few months, and then I was like, I need something super solid, because I cannot keep doing this like at the hotel and at that point I was a supervisor. So when you're a supervisor or a manager, just because your shift says like 7 to 3 or 3 to 11, that's a lie. So you're there from like 7 to 5 or 6, and then you're there from 3 until like 1 a.m. So it's great, but also I was exhausted because I was going home at 1 o'clock in the morning and then would have to be at the office at like 8. So I didn't get a whole lot of sleep, and it was kind of crazy. Well, because it was also it was just wild. It was wild. So I stopped doing that, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go and be a supervisor. That same day, they were like, we start renovation on your office here at Memphis Tourism, and I was like, oh, okay. Well, and they were like, you already have a job, don't you? And I was like, I do, but I'd love to be here. And so they were kind enough to say, you know what, it's gonna take us a minute to get this completed, so go and do that, get that on your resume, and then call us when you're ready. So about 4 months after that, I called them, and I was like, let's do this. And then I started and was there, and was there for 2 years, 2.5 years. Did a lot of different things. I ultimately worked with Welcome to Memphis, but I helped Pierre Landash, who I helped everyone. I helped Pierre Landash, who is now in charge of the Memphis Sports Hall of Fame, a little bit. I did some stuff with sales. I did some stuff with marketing. I was kind of just an all-around kind of person, I guess.
Because you're talented.
Oh, well, thank you. But after that, I was like, whew, this is a lot, and I wanted to do a little bit something different. And I heard that the Culinary School was opening up, and so that's when I went there. And now that's where I am, and that's all I do.
You'll notice one observation I noticed while we were talking up here. Keep your contacts. You notice how Vinny had a job at the Westin, she had a job at the Westin, they got to know each other. She was at the Westin, came to Memphis Tourism, went to somewhere else, came back now to Kemmons Wilson. So this industry is pretty tight knit. So don't ever discount who you might meet, because you don't know where that might lead you. It's always good to have contacts, because going on to Indeed and putting in a resume isn't going to get you a job.
And don't be afraid to ask either.
Don't be afraid to ask, but knowing somebody that knows somebody can get your resume up on the top of that pile. Plus they I like a personal recommendation. Kind of weeds everybody out. And that person that's recommended you isn't gonna put their job on the line if you're not good. So you've got a little foot in the door to get your job, and then just keep building your contacts. It doesn't mean you have to stay in a hotel business. You could go somewhere else. She went into training, and then she's now somewhere else, but it's just always good to keep in touch like that.
And if I'm sure that y'all all know Marta Lopez Floor. If you do not get to know her, she's the one that told me about the culinary job. And I was like, hey, I'm just saying, just putting some feelers out there. If you hear of anything that you think that I'd be good at, or you think that I would like, send it my way. And she called me the next day or whatever, and she was like, we got something. So just meet with her. She's out at the Culinary School from Tuesday to Friday, but she's here on Mondays. You can go on Handshake and make an appointment with her, but get to know her, because she's the one that's going to advocate for you. I mean, we will as well, all Kemmons Wilson staff, but she's
well respected in this,
yeah,
in the whole community of hospitality. People trust her, know that she wouldn't just, again, send just anybody. She kind of I've gotten a few interns to help me, and then through that, we've hired them. but she vets you and puts you in the right job. She's not just gonna put you anywhere because she wants, you know, you need a job here, just take this one's up. And she really does vet well, and she matches people, so she's a great person.
How many people in here are hospitality students? I just wonder. Yeah.
How many people are working right now
Yeah.
in like a hotel?
In hospitality. It's
Or a
important.
restaurant?
Yeah, it's important to work in the hospitality field while you're in school, even if it's part-time, because when you do graduate,
Yeah.
you won't just be guaranteed to get a management position or anything like that without experience. So while you're in school, like Jean Marie did, you know,
Yeah.
others, it builds you learn while you're in school, but it's so much,
yeah.
it's only so much you can learn.
Yeah.
You learn
You're
book
gonna learn.
smart, you don't learn practical experience
Right.
smart, and that's what they want. They wanna know you understand it,
Yeah.
but they really like to see practical experience on your resume. I started out, I didn't mention, at the Peabody and reservations, cause I figured if I'm gonna learn the hospitality industry and hotels, start from the ground up, and where the front door opens is a new reservation. And from being in reservations, I touched every department in a hotel, cause you're talking to them, you're making schedules, you're doing this, you're talking to the guests. So, like Vinny said,
It's like a big
yeah.
thing.
And if you're in whatever you're in, I would, like, one of the first things that I did was I told my director that I wanted to cross-train, because I wanted to know that I'm a person who, I'm an all-hands-on-deck kind of girl. So if the Westin hosts all the NBA teams, I know that those are busy nights. I still know how stressful it is, and like, I told Vinny, if he needs anything, this is his first NBA season as a manager, if he needs anything, call me, because I know what it's like to be in that position. But I also wanted it to be that if we had a housekeeper down, like somebody called in sick or whatever, or we're just slammed that we need something done, I wanna be able to say, okay, great, well, I've got people handling this so that I can go handle this. So find out those different departments and go and train in those different departments. They will not say no, I promise you that. But that was something that was really valuable to me, because then, once I did become a supervisor, when you are a supervisor and the managers are gone, or, the GM's not there, so you're in charge of the hotel, and everybody comes, you're basically the manager. So everything's on you, so you wanna know how different parts of the hotel work. It also just helps for your future, because there are tons of, I never thought that I would be on the food and beverage / academia side of anything. Yeah, right?
I don't know how they happened.
We're still questioning. I have no idea, but it's fun and it's cool. But things that I did at the Westin and at Memphis Tourism prepared me for this. So, there's still learning that I have to do, obviously, because you will never know everything. And that's another thing that you have to kind of realize is you're not gonna get a degree and then the next day they're gonna be like, congratulations, you're now the manager of whatever. That doesn't happen, I promise you, and you don't want it to happen, because the manager is the one that people go to and the one that gets in trouble. You don't wanna get in trouble. So you wanna be the one that's like, okay, let me just learn from everybody else before I get to that part.
I never knew how detailed the NBA group contacts are.
Oh,
They are so detailed.
it's so legit.
annoying.
It's so legit,
And
it's so
Erica
much.
would kill me if I would walk
Oh, yeah.
alone. And
Oh,
I be
yeah.
wanting to walk so bad.
Oh yeah, it's so much.
So yeah, it's definitely a
Yeah.
big challenge.
And ask your other people that you work with what makes their job easier. Because like Vinny said, when we had NBA teams, so what usually happens is the Westin is a 203 room hotel. So we have 40 to 60 king rooms that need to be blocked, but people are in those rooms, or that need to be cleaned, really, because they won't check out until 5 o'clock. But there are people arriving at 3 or earlier to get into their room, and they don't have a room. Well, I don't know what to tell you, because somebody's still in there right now. And so we pat it with some nice words and everything, and we give them some stuff that you still do. I say we, like I still work there.
Yeah.
But if you, if Vinny is stressing out about all of these pending rooms, which is what we call them, then one thing that Peyton could do is say, okay, Vinny, what can I do to help you right now? Like, what's gonna be the best thing for me to do to help you make your job easier? And then not only will he tell you whatever it is, but then he'll be like, oh, you know what, Peyton knows how to do that. If she knows how to do that, then she can do this too. And then that gives you more responsibility. You may or may not want it, but it's just good to know these things, and it's good to be a helping hand.
And then when they ask Vinny, hey Vinny, this position's open, who would be good for that? Vinny
Yeah.
goes, oh, let me tell you, Peyton,
Yeah.
she's got it covered.
Yeah.
So, you're never gonna have too many skill sets. And again, like they said, don't be afraid to ask somebody else how they did it. People love sharing information. Don't be, and keeps you from wasting time, because you're not recreating the wheel with mistakes that have already happened with somebody else. That's so ask.
The worst they can say is no. And if they say no,
Or
then fine.
and if they don't wanna show you how to do something,
Then they're not there to help
they're
you.
not a team player and they're not there to help you. That's unfortunate, but most of the time in the hotel industry, I think you will find that everybody is a team player, because it just makes your job, it makes their job easier as well.
Any questions?
Yeah.
Have y'all ever felt discouraged, like on your journey?
Oh, girl.
Oh, girl.
How much time do you have?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's natural.
Yeah, it's just part of it.
It's natural, it's the learning experience.
But what part